Hi folks, hope everybody's okay. I just wanted to share with you a novel that I'm writing, and I just wanted your opinion, any advice, anything that you want to share would be very helpful. If anybody's got any writing experience in writing novels or anything like that, please feel free to give me some advice and comments. This is a very rough draft. If I do writing, I normally do 3 drafts. I do a very rough sketchy draft, then another draft, and then a third draft. So this is in the first stage. I'm just doing a very rough draft. I haven't written anything for a while, fictional. I used to write plays, so I'm just writing this novel today. It's called Against the World, and I'll read the first chapter. Sorry, just had a biscuit. Although the last few days had been cold and windy, today was mild in comparison. As Dr. Mayer sat reading his manuscript for a lecture at the Christian Student Union, which he was to give later that afternoon, the Liverpool sky was grey, hiding a mass of rain that was for some reason shy. The breeze was warm as it tickled the few autumn leaves that whirled around on the pavement. I must not forget that point, thought the young professor. He was referring to the reliability of the Gospels, a subject he loved to talk about. He was one of the new scholars who had been involved in a revolution in the academic world concerning the beliefs that the Gospels are eyewitness accounts. Dr. Mayer, though he was an expert in the subject, felt nervous. He knew a number of the university faculty were going to be there, and many of them being hostile to Christianity. What is more, Dr. Morsey from Sheffield University was also going to attend. He was a firm-minded atheist, New Testament scholar, but razor-sharp in his criticism of Dr. Mayer's theories. I need a cup of tea, thought Dr. Mayer. He looked up and he noticed the student cafe above the Blackwell bookshop. He looked round and he saw masses of students crossing the road, coming towards him, a road that cut across the campus, stationed with traffic lights. Students passed from one side to the other as they headed for classes. The students now passed him while he continued to check his paper. His bum was cold as he sat on a marble bench, a park-like space which the university had provided for the students to relax. He looked at his watch. 3:30, he said. Just enough time for a cuppa. He put his paper in his leather-brown briefcase and then made his way to the cafe. He felt a chill down his spine and he looked round, and he noticed in the distance a man wearing a dog collar staring at him across the road. As he screwed his eyes to focus, another wave of students crossed over the road, flooding past the priest-looking man. When the students walked past Dr. Mayer, he noticed the priest had disappeared. Dr. Mayer bowed his head. Dr. Mayer bowed his head in deep thought as he made for his tea. "Sugar," said the girl behind the counter. She wore a red t-shirt and a gentle but determined person. She was intrigued by this tall, wavy black-haired academic who looked more like a 1940s Oxford don than a cool Liverpool University lecturer. "Yes, please," choked Dr. Mayer. He could not look at the girls in the eyes. He longed to be married, but it was a source of frustration to him. As he saw the beautiful woman, he was feeling shy and painful in not wanting to look at her. "Milk?" she asked. "Yes." He cheeped again. She poured the milk for him, something she never did before, but she felt sorry for him for some reason. "How many sugars?" "One, please." She put the sugar in and stared. Smiling, she said, There you are. He took the carton of tea, then went and sat at the window on a red leather sofa. His bum felt much warmer than on the marble outside. As he looked, he noticed light rain was bouncing against the window. He could see in the distance Liverpool Cathedral, which seemed more like a pyramid of lead, having no sense of grace in the architectural style. York Minster is much better, he thought. Suddenly he was arrested. His eyes caught the priest again. He was staring at him from below, and the man gave him a cold stare. Dr. Mayer's hands began to shake, and he turned his head away from the window. He knew something was not right. He took another peek, and the man had gone. Quickly he drank his tea, then rushed off to give his lecture at the Christian Student Union. The students and faculty applauded as Dr. Mayer finished his lecture. He was pleased with his performance. A chubby man dressed in grey pants and a black shirt, a sociology professor, chaired the floor. Any questions, he asked. I have a few, said Dr. Morsey. I'm in for it now, thought Dr. Mayer. Can we trust Papias concerning what he says about the Gospels? I think so. You see, Papias mentions that Mark got his material from Peter. It's interesting that Peter is mentioned more in Mark than any other Gospel. Not only that, we seem to have material of Peter's sermons in the Gospel. I think for a long time scholars have underestimated the Papias material. I blame Bultmann and his school for that. I find what you say seems to be plausible. It could be what we have is eyewitnesses, some eyewitness source material. It's the detail that I have to thrash out, said Professor Morsey. Always precise and always fine as usual. Always precise and always fair as usual, said Dr. Mayer. I wish my secular peers were as fair as you. I predict, says Dr. Morsey, the conservatives will love your ideas and the secular scholars will harden against you. I think this is sound. The arguments are not... a scholar should assess an argument... I think this is sad. A scholar's work should be assessed on the arguments and not on which camp you belong to. You have done us a great service in scholarship. Yes, scholarship has been moved forward with this. With this, the audience gave another round of applause as the proceedings came to an end, and Dr. Mayer, relieved, put his paper in his briefcase and then went to shake hands of some of the more prominent academics who had come to see him get a grilling from the atheist. Well, James, the sharks thought I was going to get devoured by you. Peter, I like to keep you on your toes, you know that. But I'm better than this fundamentalist secularism that wants to destroy religion at every turn. Democracy is for sharing. Christians and atheists should be able to debate, and when they've finished, go to the local pub and have a pint with each other. They both laughed. Well said, said Dr. Mayer. It was now raining outside, and it was 5:30 p.m. Dr. Mayer pulled over his head his tweed jacket, and he came out of a new building in the style of a Roman architecture, a library where they hold some of the more antiquated books. He walked past the marble bench where he had been sat on before, and the cafe lights were on, but the bookshop below was closing now. Hundreds of students were rushing home. A long queue of students stood waiting for the bus, about 200 students in all. Dr. Mayer glanced up and noticed the queue, and through the rain he saw standing through the rain, he saw students passing over the road to go to the other side of the campus, and students coming the opposite way also. Then he saw the priest staring at him across the road. Something told him to turn round. First he stood still. He was immobilized with fear, and the priest lifted his arm and he pointed a gun which had a silencer on it. He fired. A student who was riding a bike past Dr. Mayer fell to the ground, and many students saw the priest with a gun and began to scream. The priest ran, shooting at Dr. Mayer, but now the professor had turned round and bolted towards the building he had just come out of. Students were falling to ground as they were hit by the bullets. The gunman ran through the chaotic students, and 2 security guards came round the corner wearing yellow jackets. "Hey!" screamed one. Within seconds they fell to the ground, each one receiving a bullet to the head. Dr. Mayer was inside the building. Phone the police! Phone the police! A gunman in the campus!" He rushed past a woman at the desk, and he ran down the library to the end of the library. At the reception, the priest came in and shot the receptionist and other staff. People screamed and crouched down to the floor. "Where is he?" he asked. He screamed at a woman who crouched down, and she clutched a book in her hand, weeping for her life. "Where did he go?" He put the gun right up to her nose. She shook with fear. She was so scared she could not even utter a word. "Come out!" he shouted. He pushed over the shelf after shelf, but could not find Dr. Mayer. He had gone right to the back of the library, behind a statue of a Roman general, a replica of a Roman general, Augustus Pimparter. The statue was situated in an archway, enough room to crouch behind. The library went silent now, and Dr. Mayer's nose was running. He tried to keep his body breathing quietly, as it was a struggle, as he was out of breath. He could hear steps coming closer to him. Now dead silence. "Come out, I know you are behind there." And Dr. Mayer slowly stood to his feet with his arms in his air. The priest pointed the gun to his head, and as they looked at each other, Dr. Mayer said a prayer, ready to meet his Maker. "Put down your weapon now," shouted a voice. The priest looked round, and right at the main entrance 5 armed response officers had their weapons trained on the suspect. He turned back to Dr. Mayer, but before he could shoot, he was hit in the shoulder. Dr. Mayer crowded down behind the statue again. He could hear bullets ricocheting off the statue. The library had now 9 officers shooting at the priest. "Lay down your weapon, you are now surrounded." The priest had crowded behind a brown leather seat, and he put his pistol away and brought out 2 MP9 submachine guns. Blood was pouring from his shoulder, so he stuffed it with a handkerchief to stem the flow. Then within seconds he stood to his feet and began to fire both guns at the police. He hit 5 of them, but more flooded into the building. While he was firing, he ran across the library, jumped up on a shelf, and then jumped through a pane glass window. When Dr. Mayer looked up, he saw 2 officers pointing the weapons, commanding him to come out with his hands up. So that's just an introduction to the novel. It's kind of the Da Vinci Code in reverse. Basically, it's a conspiracy theory novel, and if you want to know more about how the novel goes, just keep posted. I'll let people comment under this video to give me some advice about, like I said, this is just rough. I know the grammar's not too good and stuff like that, but it's only rough, and it'll be written 2 times more. It's just like a light sketch at the moment. But if you like the idea of the novel and you want to hear more of it, just let me know, and I'll do another chapter, read another chapter out for you. Alright, thank you for listening, and take care. God bless.